With Pixar's newest film, Onward, out in theaters, there are 22 films to rank, so let's get started. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies. If you guys love to watch movies too, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming videos. Today we're going to be ranking all 22 of the Pixar movies. This is always a hard list to do because most of the Pixar films are really good. They always get good reviews. Their animation is great. Pixar is a really outstanding company, and I really do enjoy most of the movies. So this list is really hard to make. So before I give you my ranking on all 22 of these movies, make sure to leave your ranking down below. How would you rank all these films, including the newest one, Onward? And are you looking forward to Soul coming out in June? My list is going to be completely different than yours. A few of them are regarded as really good Pixar movies, but I just don't really find the draw in a few of them. So enough talking, let's get this list started at number 22, Cars 2. Cars isn't my favorite franchise, and Cars 2 is easily the worst one of them all. I really did not like what they did with Tow Mater, having him be the focus of the movie. Lightning McQueen 2, I really didn't understand his character within this movie. It's just an odd film. It's really bright and it's really upbeat, but none of the jokes land. None of the moments are thrilling. I could care less about Tow Mater's storyline in here, and Lightning McQueen didn't have that strong of a story within it, and all the other side characters in here just don't amount much to a really exciting film. It's easily one of their most forgettable and most lazy films as well. Coming at number 21 is Cars. Like I said, I don't really enjoy this franchise. I did like the progression of Lightning McQueen in this movie, going from someone who is really cocky and then going from someone who starts to understand a lot of different things. I think this movie had a good progression for the character, gave him a challenging storyline within the movie, and this is the right amount of Tow Mater. I think he is an enjoyable Pixar character, but when you get large doses of him, Larry the Cable Guy starts to become an annoying voice actor. I really like the world building in here, making them feel like humans and making a really good animated movie as well. Coming in at number 20 is A Bug's Life. This is one of the films that I really just don't care much about. It's a good movie. It's got fun characters. It's one of their earlier Pixar films. But when I make a list of movies for the Pixar movies, I always seem to leave out A Bug's Life. The animation is good for when it was released. I do enjoy the story. The character of Flick is clumsy, but he's still enjoyable. I like all these side characters. I like them all together. It's a fun story filled with enjoyable, upbeat characters that makes the runtime feel really quick. It's an enjoyable movie, but it's just not that memorable or outstanding compared to like Toy Story or Monsters, Inc., even though it's one of their earlier films. Coming at number 19 is Ratatouille. I know a lot of you guys like Ratatouille and it's at the top of your list. Remy is like the only character that I enjoy in this movie. Everybody else is just very generic and doesn't add much to the storyline. And even with Remy, he's not one of my favorite Pixar characters. But I do enjoy his storyline and how he's much different from the other rats within the movie. He has these dreams of being a chef and cooking, and I really like that aspect of the movie. It's a new twist on the character of a rat. So within that, I do like the character of Remy and his storyline, and none of the other characters add a lot to the movie. Unfortunately, I just don't really enjoy this movie as much as others. It's a good animated film. It's got a great world within it, and it's really quickly paced, but just not that enjoyable to me. Coming in number 18 is Monsters University. This was a weaker film for the Monsters series, the two ones that we got, Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. I really hyped this film up because I really did like Monsters Inc. and I was curious to see Monsters University and getting more of these two characters that we really love, Mike Wazowski and Sully, in college. It is a fun film. The humor and animation style is significantly different than the Monsters Inc. movie. Got a different director, and the jokes are funny in here. Some of the side characters, like Charlie Day's character, they are funny. But it is just one of those films that it's like a one-time watch. It's fun, you enjoy it, but there's nothing that makes you want to go back and watch it again. Coming in number 17 is The Good Dinosaur. This is one of their more beautiful looking films. The Good Dinosaur is an outstanding looking Pixar film. And I do enjoy the dinosaur and the little human as well, and the relationship, them kind of helping each other. I like that storyline in here. But unfortunately, this film gets really sidetracked. It's really bizarre with its storyline, certain themes, and I feel like they're mixing different genres in this movie. It doesn't feel very coherent with its storytelling and some of the genres that they're trying to mix. And that makes it for a confusing watch at times. You fully don't understand what their end goal with this movie is. But it is an enjoyable movie. It's got a lot of fun moments and the animation is beautiful. Coming in at number 16 is Cars 3. Cars 3 was a huge improvement over the last two Cars films. It's got a better storyline. I love Lightning McQueen in it. I love what they did with Tow Mater. Very minimum in here. And I really did appreciate some of the new characters that came in and worked alongside Lightning McQueen. It's a realistic story for this character. I did enjoy the story and the progression and how, I guess, tamer it felt compared to the first two movies, where they were kind of outlandish and bizarre, and Cars 2 was just a horrible film. This one felt much different, and I really did appreciate that. Coming in at number 15 is Finding Dory. Much like Monsters University, I was really looking forward to seeing Finding Dory, seeing the characters once again, Marlin and Nemo and Dory. But it is like Monsters University. It's like that one-time watch. There's not much to draw you back with in the movie. You like Hank. I love the animation, what they did with Hank. It's really unique. I like some of the other characters that Dory had known but forgot. Ty Burrell's character in here was really funny. It's got a good voice cast and the good characters, and I love the animation. It all looks really good. But like I said with Monsters University and Finding Dory, it's just not that film that has that one scene that's memorable, or even you want to come back and watch it again. Coming in at number 14 is WALL-E. I've always known that people put WALL-E towards the top of their list, and I've really given this film multiple chances to see if it would make it to like the top 5 or even the top 10. But I'm fine with where it sits. WALL-E is a really, really adorable character. Quickly has become one of Pixar's more iconic characters. I love how sweet he is and what he is dealing with within this movie. He deals with a lot. And I really like the first half of the movie. It's much slower. They have a more personal story for WALL-E, but then the movie shifts into more things that is going on. He is in space and he's aboard the ship. There's all these different robots. You're exploring what had happened to the human race. And as much I do appreciate that story, I love the more personal side of WALL-E and the emotions that he is feeling within that first half of the movie. And he does feel a lot towards Eve in the second half of the movie, but it is really, really quick, and there's a lot going on in that movie. At times it feels a little bit hectic. But overall, WALL-E is an adorable looking film. It has a great character of WALL-E, and it is a fun movie to watch. Coming in at number 13 is Brave. I enjoy Brave much more than other people. I do think that it has kind of like two different storylines going within it, and there's like a clash of ideas. And here we had Brenda Chapman, who had left the movie over creative differences. So like there's a lot going on. I like the Scottish themes in here, and I like Merida as a character. She's really strong and independent, and she is forced to get married. She doesn't want to. I really like the first half of the movie before she turns her mother into a bear. After that, that personal journey with her and her mother is still fine, but I like the first half of the movie even more when it was focused on Merida rather than Merida and her mom. So we have those two different storylines in here that kind of clash, and you never feel like they work together, and you feel like it's like there's an abrupt moment where the movie just changes, and from there on it's kind of not as entertaining or powerful or emotional as that first half of the movie. Coming in at number 12 is Toy Story 4. I really wanted to put Toy Story 4 much higher on this list because it's Toy Story. I love Toy Story. But unfortunately, it's not as strong as the first three movies. It's an enjoyable film. I like Forky as a character. It's just a movie that Honestly, it felt a bit unnecessary with how Toy Story 3 ended and a solid ending and you clear everything up. Part of me had always wanted to see another Toy Story film, but when I saw the trailer and saw the movie, I'm not sure if I wanted to see that kind of film because it kind of changed certain things that had happened in Toy Story 3. And as much as I do love the characters and the story within it, it does feel a bit unnecessary at times, and they're stretching things out and they're trying to just make another film, make up a story that really didn't feel that necessary. I did like Forky. I did like seeing Bo Peep once again in the film. It's a fun film filled with some great voice casting, but like I said, it does feel a bit unnecessary at times. Coming in at number 11 is Coco. Coco was an emotional ride. It's a very devastating film. It's a very heartwarming film as well. I love the character of Miguel. I love the exploration of this world and meeting his family. We have the villain in the movie. It's a really bright, colorful film that does a great job of building up the world that Miguel is in and progressing his storyline and also making it feel very urgent as well. And then we have a very emotional ending that has become quite iconic in the Pixar movies. Even though it was just released recently, it still feels like it is a big moment in a Pixar film. Coco was a film that I wasn't expecting too much from, but I got a really outstanding emotional film. Coming in at number 10 is The Incredibles 2. The Incredibles 2 is a better sequel compared to Monsters University and Finding Dory. It definitely felt like The Incredibles movie, partly because it continued the storyline. The characters felt the same. It's a realistic storyline for our characters. The family dynamics is still explored really well. Bob Parr is being a stay-at-home dad, so watching him struggle with that is a lot of fun. Jack steals the show. He is very fun within this movie. Some of the other superheroes that they introduce are not that cool. It's a little bit weird at times, but I really like the focus on Elastigirl and seeing her kind of introduce the superheroes once again. It's a fun film. I like when they're all working together as a family, like I did for the first Incredibles film. So Incredibles 2 is still really fun, and I really did enjoy it. Coming in at number 9 is Onward. Onward is the most recent Pixar film, and much like Coco, I wasn't expecting too much from this film. I thought the trailers looked fine. I thought it was going to be much like Monsters University, that one-time watch, and you really didn't think much about it. But that's not the case for Onward. I love the brother relationship in here between Ian and Barley. The voice cast with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt is perfect. I love the adventure feel for it, and it is emotional at the end, and I wasn't expecting the route that they took these characters at the end of the film, and it felt very welcomed towards the characters and the relationship and the storyline that was built up throughout the film. It's a bright, fun film, and when people experience magic, it's really new and they're in awe. Even they lived in a world that was full of magic. It's completely gone. So they're experiencing it again, and it's a blast to see their reaction. Onward, it was a great, funny film filled with some really memorable sequences, and I can't wait to watch it again. Coming in at number 8 is Inside Out. Inside Out is probably their most clever film and the film that is written the best. I love the story for Inside Out. I love the different emotions within here. You have anger and joy and sadness. I love all of them in here. And when one is gone, you definitely felt that impact in Riley's life, which I thought was very clever because you had joy and sadness out of her life. So she's just disgusted and angry and scared all the time. And it's fun to see how Riley reacts to certain things when you have only those 3 characters inside her head. So it's a really clever film. I love the voice cast with Amy Poehler and Mindy Kaling is in the movie. It's a clever film that I think was explored really well. It's got those emotional moments with Bing Bong in it. It's a fun film that I think was very bright and very smart as well. And I will always think Inside Out is one of their more clever films. Coming in at number 7 is Up. Up is a movie that right away was emotional, and from there on you felt connected to the storyline with Carl and his journey, taking his house and placing it on a mountain because of the significance and what it meant to him and his late wife. By having those strong setup, it was allowed for the film to kind of do what it wanted to do, and you still felt connected to the characters. It's a movie that has a great progression for its characters and the relationships amongst our older character and our younger character. They clash heads at times. Carl quite doesn't understand this young kid and why he's there and why he's so energetic. He just wants to take his house and place it somewhere, but it's fun to watch him kind of allow this young kid into his life, and it's a blast. Up is a very emotional movie right away. Usually these Pixar films are emotional at the end, where Up is emotional in the beginning. And it's always one that I want to revisit. Coming in at number 6 is Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 was a great sequel. I enjoyed some of the new characters we got in the movie, like Jessie and Bullseye and the Prospector. They felt very welcomed into the storyline, and you always think of them, Jessie and Bullseye, as Pixar characters, even though they haven't been in all of the movies. So they felt they fit nicely into the movie, and Toy Story 2 takes our characters, still manages to make them really cool and have that really solid relationship between Buzz and Woody that was set up towards the tail end of the first movie. Now it's strengthened in the second film. And I love how Woody kind of understood more things about his past and who he is, while also being loyal to Andy, wanting to go back home. And that was a theme that was built up with the first 3 movies. That's why I felt so frustrated while watching Toy Story 4, was because of how Woody felt about Andy throughout the first 3 movies and what Woody meant to Andy. So I like the theme of this movie and all the fun moments, and how Buzz and Woody are still separated, and Buzz gets a chance to be a leader again and have a strong storyline in the second film. And then we have Woody meeting Jessie and Bullseye, and I like that side of the story as well. Coming in at number 5 is Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is a fun journey with Marlin and Dory looking for Marlin's son, Nemo, and all the characters along the way is just some of the best Pixar has ever done. Bruce the Shark and Crush, all of the characters that we experience throughout the film have become iconic Pixar side characters. And watching Dory forget everything frustrates me and frustrates the audience, but also frustrates Marlin. And Marlin wants no part of it. He just wants to find his son, but he starts to ease up a little bit and starts to kind of understand and help Dory. So I really like that he's building this relationship up with Dory as he's going along trying to find his son Nemo. So Finding Nemo is beautiful. I love the score in here. It always is so catchy. Every time I watch the movie, I hum the tunes in my head. It is so smooth and easygoing. Finding Nemo is one of Pixar's best films and one of the best journeys that we've got in any of the Pixar movies. Coming in at number 4 is The Incredibles. The Incredibles is a realistic movie about just a regular family, but they have superpowers, and they're trying to keep that down and keep it quiet because people don't want superheroes in the world. So I like the exploration of just your average suburban family that has superpowers, but they kind of just want to go out there in the world and use them. And we have 2 young kids, Dash and Violet, who are itching at the bit to use their powers in the world, but they can't. And so when they get that chance to do that, it's an all-out fun time. When they have the family together using their powers, it's a blast because you've kind of been building up to that and watching the family kind of feel so anxious to use it and not stay quiet about it. So it's a realistic story. It's a smart story about a family that has superpowers. It's explored well. Jack is adorable in the movie. It's a fun film that set up our characters. And Incredibles 2 is not as good as the first one, but still enjoyable. And it's all due to the fact that they had the characters that were set up really well in the first film, and you absolutely love them. Coming in at number 3 is Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. has one of the best Pixar duos with Mike and Sully. We also have Buzz and Woody, which are some of the best that they've done, but Mike and Sully in this movie are some of my favorite characters in Pixar films. The world that is built up in here is so crazy, and watching it when I was younger, I always thought is there a world inside my closet that I don't know and I could open it and there's a bunch of monsters running around? So when I was younger, this movie was so crazy to watch in the world, and I always thought about it, and I was like, what's going on behind my closet? It's probably just toys and clothes and stuff, but is there something else? And that's what Monsters Inc. does, is that it makes you believe in this world that there could be monsters and they might be hiding underneath your bed and trying to scare you. And so as a young kid, it might frighten you, but as an adult, it kind of becomes a little bit intriguing, and they put a lot of effort into the world and their society and the rules and everything, while also offering some unique designs for the monsters and their work and their jobs, and just making it feel like it's a average world. They go to walk to work, there's cars, whatever it may be. And it's filled with some great voice casting by John Goodman and Billy Crystal. Iconic voice casting for the Pixar films. It's a blast, it's a fun film, and I always watch it multiple times a year. Coming in at number 2 is Toy Story. The first Toy Story film, I think this is the first film I ever saw in theaters. I have vivid memories of seeing this movie in theaters, walking out of the theaters, which is now a Krispy Kreme Donuts, and I remember it snowing. That's the only thing I remember about the movie, and that's the only time that's the earliest I can remember about seeing a film. But Toy Story, the Toy Story franchise is just so good. I love the characters in here. Woody and Buzz really did not like each other for most of the film, but it took a little bit of a time for them to kind of understand each other, and has great music in it, great songs. And when they are becoming a team and they are working together, it's an endearing moment, because you think that these two could work well together throughout the film, but they just really don't like each other. Buzz is cocky and everybody likes Buzz because he's a new toy, and Woody doesn't want to be replaced by Andy. And even when they're away from Andy's house towards the middle of the film, it gets a little bit darker with Sid and his toys. You still feel they are having a chance to bond and build up their relationship. So the film does a great job of setting up our characters individually and then having them work together and building up that relationship as well. So Toy Story is doing a lot within this movie, and you have these new characters that are being introduced into the household. You have the old characters like Rex and Bo Peep and Ham, and you enjoy them as well. But in the forefront of this movie is Woody and Buzz and their relationship. It definitely does work. And Toy Story, the first Pixar film, it's crazy that it's their first film, and it's always going to be one of their best. But coming in at number 1, my favorite Pixar film is Toy Story 3. I absolutely love Toy Story 3. I've talked about it many times. It is in my top 10 favorite films of all time. I love how emotional it is, wrapping up that storyline while trying to move it forward. We have Bonnie in here who gets the toys at the end of the film. There's 2 times where tears were just rolling down my eyes, and every time I do watch it, I cry. When they go into the incinerator and they just kind of accept their fate. And then when Andy gives the toys away, it's all kind of just heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. But you still love these characters. You still love the dynamics and watching Andy try to persuade all the toys. It's crazy that this film did a great job of adding characteristics and emotions to toys. Just toys. It's just crazy that they managed to add all these emotions and characteristics to these toys. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's my favorite animated film. And I love how emotional it was and how it wrapped up this trilogy. And with Toy Story 4, they moved the story further. And I felt it still was a bit unnecessary, but I did love Toy Story 3. I think Toy Story 3 will always be my favorite Pixar film. It will take a lot for something to come along and be better than Toy Story 3. So there you guys have it, all 22 Pixar films ranked worst to best. How would you rank these? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming videos. My name is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy.